Happy New Year and welcome to Fantasy Plus. I'm Aaron Lafferty. It's going to be a solo outing for me today. Let's take a look at who's here. Yep, it's just good old Aaron. But that's okay. We've got a lot to get through. Let's start by going through how the WOODTV Fantasy League ended. In the first round, Cam beat Phil. 123-114. Cam ends up facing the number 1 seed, Dan Nichols. And then Brian, the number 3 seed, beat Gavin, 137-100. He's going to face the number 2 seed, Matt. So you've got the two people waiting, and you see that the next game is right there. Matt, Dan, and Brian were also in the winner's bracket last year, so we got some familiar faces. And then in the second round, Cam, who was the number 5 seed, beat Dan, the number 1 seed, 127, basically 128 to 102. They're in the middle. And then Matt, the number 2 seed, beat Brian, the number 3 seed, 156 to 116. This is Cam's, he's neighborhood watch. That's his second year in the league. And Matt won the championship in 2021. So you see they're meeting in the final. And then Dan and Brian play for third place. That's the same matchup as the 5th place game last year. Phil and Gavin play again for 5th place. It's the first year for both of them. Moving on to that matchup. You can see that Dan beat Brian. Gavin beat Phil. So our third place team is Dan, pass and TDs. 4th place is Brian, the Greasy Bobs. And then Gavin, and then Phil. Gavin's the armchair quarterback, and Phil is the Phil's Failures. It's just me, so you're going to hear paper shuffling and all that stuff today. And then in the championship, Matt holds on. He beats Cam 125 to 105. You can round up if you want. This is Matt's second league championship. He won in 2021. And let's take a look at the box score if you want to break it down and see how your teams may have compared in the playoffs. Matt had Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley. On the far right-hand side, you can see their points. Chase Brown was the big one, 28.6, but also Chris Olave was the top wide receiver in Week 17. And the New York Giants defense with 20 points. And then Cam came up just a little bit short. Trevor Lawrence has been helping him out through the playoffs. He's been a star for many teams. He was the big points getter there. But let's take a look, a little deeper look. Cam's bench there on the left. He had Ramondre Stevenson. If you want to play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game. But look at the injuries that Cam overcame this year. He had Malik Neighbors, James Conner, Sam Laporta, Kyler Murray, all went down, but he still he stayed afloat. So that's a good lesson for everyone. And then on Matt's bench, he had DeAndre Swift and Caleb Williams. Didn't need him, but probably helped out many of you out there. All right, let's flip back to the other part of the playoff bracket, which keeps things interesting here in the WOODTV League. It's the consolation ladder, as the platform calls it, but it's the avoid relegation playoffs. The bottom team will be relegated. The bottom 2 team possibly relegated as well. So we'll go through it here. The first round, Brad beat Alec. I beat Laney. Laney beat me last year in the 3rd place game, so maybe a little bit of revenge there. Number 12, Mike beat number 11, Jack, 106 to 98. That set Jack on a course on the bottom of the bracket there. Moving on to the second round. Don't want to spoil anything. There we go. Brad beat me, 147 to 119. Mike beat Alec, 140 to 113. And Laney beat Jack, 122 to 99. That sets up Mike and Brad in the final round of the consolation ladder. Laney and I with a rematch, and then Jack and Alec, the sports department. And here's how it played out. Brad beat Mike, the little 84 to 63. I beat Laney 174, almost 175 to 65. That's the highest score of the week. And that's the third time that I beat her this year. So sorry, Laney. Jack beat Alec 124.9, basically 125 to 105, 106 if you want to round up. But here's the thing. Jack, if you combine scores, which is how we do it, Brad's safe. He was the, if you combine the regular season record and the consolation bracket record, Brad had the best of the group. I was second with the tiebreaker. Myself, Laney, and Alec all came out with a 7-10 record overall for the season. Mike is 6-11. He could be relegated. That's the feisty kitties. Depending on how many people, how much turnover we have in the league. There's natural turnover every year. And Jack was 1-2 plus his 4-10 puts him at 5-12. He has the least record. That means he'll be relegated for the 2026 season. But come back on camera. But congratulations to Jack because he did win in another league that I'm in with him. So congrats, Jack, for winning that league. Unfortunately, your team kind of fell apart in the WOODTV league, but we'll see you in the future, I'm sure. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, take a look at Week 18. For any leagues out there that are still playing in Week 18, we advise against it because a lot of teams sit players and there's injury concerns. So we'll take a look at Week 18 and beyond, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. Yep, it's just me. Happy New Year. It's going to be a lot of this and a lot of this. Let's take a look at the Week 18 schedule, shall we? All the games this week are either Saturday or Sunday, so there's no Thursday night game, there's no Monday night game. Carolina, 8-8. They just lost a game to Seattle. They could win the NFC South if they can beat Tampa Bay, who's 7-9. They've lost 4 in a row and currently holding the number 13 pick in next year's draft if things were to end today. There's a weird tiebreaker scenario, but I'm not going to get into that. Basically, if Carolina wins, they're in. If Tampa Bay wins, Atlanta has to win and some other things. I'm not going to get into that. This 4:30 game on ABC, they're in Tampa. The line opened Tampa favored by 2.5. But we'll see how that goes. All right, next up is Seattle, 13-3, winners of 6 in a row. They're the number 1 seed currently. Go Hawks. The NFC West division here is up for grabs against San Francisco, 12-4. They've won 6 in a row. So both teams winners of 6 in a row. This is an 8:00 game on Saturday night. They're in Santa Clara, California. The line opened at 1.5. We'll see for Seattle in favor, but they're the road team. And San Francisco just came off that big win against the Bears. So we'll see how that holds for that game. But the winner is the number 1 seed, wins the NFC West, and would have home advantage. I'm not going to talk about that 49ers home advantage that they could possibly have if they win that game. All right, Sunday games now. New Orleans, 6-10. They've won 4 in a row. They hold the number 8 pick right now. So if they don't win, it's okay, Saints fans. Atlanta 7-9. They've won 3 in a row, including that shocker against the Rams. This is a 1 o'clock game Sunday. Atlanta favored by 3.5. We'll see if that holds. This could be an interesting matchup. Division foes, but a game that we can just move on. Cleveland 4-12. Cincinnati 6-10. Cleveland's won, just beat the Steelers. They hold the number 7 pick currently. Cincinnati, winners of 2. They hold the number 9 pick. So you got 2 teams that are picking possibly in the top 10 next year, battling here. 4-12 versus 6-10. Moving on to Green Bay, Minnesota. Green Bay 9-6-1. They've lost 3 in a row. Injuries are starting to mount. They have clinched a wild card spot. Taking on the Vikings, who are 8-8. They've won 4 in a row. They hold the number 17 pick currently, but they're on a roll. Or they've just been rolling through teams that are struggling right now, however you want to look at that. Let's check in. Let's see if anybody else has any thoughts on this matchup. Green Bay, Minnesota. Anyone? Nope. Okay. Dallas 7-8-1. The Giants 3-13. This is another 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Dallas has won 1 game in a row. They hold the number 14 pick currently. The Giants are 3-13. They won the last game, and because of that win against the Raiders, they now have the number 2 pick. So they could end with a win, another win. We'll see. Dallas favored by 3.5 in that one. Next up, Tennessee 3-13. They lost their last game. They hold the number 4 pick currently. Jacksonville 12-4. They're winners of 7 in a row. They could win the AFC South Division with a win here against the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville, one of the biggest favors of the week. They're favored by 12.5. So that's probably looking pretty good for the Jaguars to win the division. Next up is their division foes. Indianapolis 8-8. They've lost 6 in a row. Houston 11-5. They've won 8 in a row. They clinched their playoff spot, and they could mess some things up for the Jaguars if the Jaguars lose to the Titans and the Texans can beat the Colts. Then there could be some tiebreakers going on, and I'm not even going to get into those either. Houston favored by 10.5. Another more favorable line of the week. That is the first half of the games. That gets us through Sunday, 1 o'clock. Going to come back. We'll have the rest of the Sunday slate, 4 o'clock games, and then that last Sunday night game. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. It's kind of in holiday mode here. I'm holding down the fort. We're going through the schedule. Let's pop that back up. Here we go. Previous segment, we talked about all the earlier games, the Saturday games, the Sunday 1 o'clock games. Now we're talking about the Sunday afternoon and evening games. Let's start with the Jets and the Bills. Jets 3-13. They've lost 4 in a row. They currently have the number 3 pick and the number 18 pick based on the Colts trade. So they could have 2 top 20 picks, depending on what the Colts do, depending on what they do. The Jets are playing Buffalo. Buffalo's 11-5. They just lost that tough game. They're at home. Buffalo favored by 7. They're trying to cement their spot in the playoffs. Detroit up next. Detroit 8-8. The Lions 3 in a row. They've lost 3 in a row. Eliminated from the playoffs. Sorry, Lions fans. They do currently hold the number 15 pick if you want a little silver linings there. They're playing Chicago. I don't know if a win against Chicago dramatically changes their draft pick, but a win against Chicago in Chicago could be a great way to end the season for Lions fans. Chicago's 11-5. They lost a very tough game against the 49ers. Chicago has clinched the NFC North. It's been a while since they've done that. There's no, hold on, just checking. Yep, there's no Bears fans here to celebrate that, but it is what it is. And so Chicago favored by 3. The over-under on this one is 50.5. So if you have people playing, if you're one of those leagues that you play in Week 18, again, we don't advise it. The over-under in this one is 50.5, so that could be an option for you. All right, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers 11-5. They lost one game after winning a game. They have clinched a playoff spot. They're facing Denver. Denver has clinched the AFC West, but the Chargers could, give them a scare and tell them what's up before the playoffs start. We'll see who plays. Justin Herbert's banged up. Denver's 13-3. Denver's favored by 12.5. Maybe the Vegas odds know something about who's playing in this game and who's not, since the Broncos have already clinched their playoff spot. Moving on to the other AFC West matchup. Kansas City 6-10. They've lost 5 in a row. They hold the number 10 pick. These are weird things to be saying. The Raiders 2-14. Vegas has lost 10 in a row. They hold the number 1 pick currently after that loss to the Giants. This game's in Allegiant. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5. This is a game that doesn't look to have a lot of fantasy impact. Bowers is already on IR. This could be Travis Kelce's last game. We'll see. So let's just move on to the NFC West. Arizona and Los Angeles. The Cardinals are 3-13. They've lost 8 in a row. They hold the number 5 pick currently, so there's a positive for you. The Rams are 11-5. They've lost 2 in a row to the Seahawks and the Falcons. So they have clinched a playoff spot. They currently hold the number 12 pick that came from the Falcons. So ironically, the Falcons winning last week actually made this draft spot not as good for next year, but I'm sure the Rams aren't worrying about draft picks right now as they're trying to focus on the playoffs. The Rams are favored by 7.5. This game is in SoFi in California. Next up, we've got 3 games left here. Miami and New England. The Dolphins won their last game. They're 7-9. They were actually one of those teams that was on a run trying to get to 500. They're going to fall short of that, but they could end the season on a solid note. They currently hold the number 11 pick. They're facing the Patriots, who are 13-3. They've already clinched the AFC East. They've won 2 in a row. They potentially have the league MVP, a player I talked about in the preseason. New England's favored by 10.5. So we'll see what happens with that game and who starts and who doesn't. Maybe you get some starters and then you get some backups in there. 2 games left in Week 18. Washington Commanders 4-12. They've lost 2 in a row. They currently hold the number 6 pick. There we go. Philadelphia 11-5. They've won 3 in a row. Despite how it looks, they've won 3 in a row. They're 11-5. They clinched the NFC East division weeks ago. And this game is at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. Eagles are favored by 7. 41.5 over under. There could be some fantasy implications there, but really this is the Eagles trying to get right for the playoffs. They're going to have a home game. They're going to host a home playoff game. So they've got this game to get right for that home playoff game, which is next week. So they better get things in order. Or, just lose in week 1. I think the rest of the league would be okay with that, especially the NFC teams. Final game of the night. Baltimore 8-8. They won their last game. They currently hold the number 16 pick, ironically. But this could change based on this division matchup with Pittsburgh, who's 9-7. They just lost to the Browns. This is all about the AFC North, up for grabs. Sunday night on NBC, 8:20 from Pittsburgh. Baltimore is favored by 3.5, over under a 40. This could be a close AFC North black and blue. So we'll see how that one goes. But that's your Week 18 slate. As usual, a lot of teams are resting players. If players are slightly hurt, they're resting. If players are maybe potentially out, they're already on IR. So this is why Week 18 is not advised for leagues. Have your championship in Week 17 so you don't run into any teams who suddenly are resting players, or they, you got star players that aren't playing for a myriad of reasons. Maybe the team already has their playoffs wrapped up, clinched, home, all that jazz. So unless it's a Seahawks 49ers game, which they've got a lot on the line for, or this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, there's not a lot out there Week 18, fantasy-wise. A side note, I was talking about draft picks. Atlanta, Green Bay, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville do not have any first-round picks as of right now in 2026 because they've traded away, they were making moves, things that you do to try to make the playoffs. We're going to take a quick break, come back, do a little programming note, get you caught up on where things stand, how you can get involved in the show, get some voting. We want to hear from you. We've got a poll. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy Plus. Final segment for this Happy New Year episode. We hope you won your fantasy leagues or won your matchups. Hopefully we had some little part to play in that. But we'd like you to get involved with the show. Fantasy FB Plus on X and Instagram, or you can email us, fantasyplus@woodtv.com. If your team won a championship, send us a screenshot of your scoreboard, like I showed earlier in the episode, about who you faced off with, who was in your starting lineup. Send it to us. I'd love to put that out there. Share your victories. And we've also got a poll. Who are the best fantasy players in the playoffs? Currently, you can vote for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and kickers, because kickers do matter in the playoffs. Again, that's at Fantasy FB Plus on X. We've got multiple polls there. Please vote. We want to get your input, and we'll feature those on the next episode. Just checking in. Nope, still just me. Okay. Yep, just me. Programming note. We're going bi-weekly during the off season. So starting this week and through until late August, we're going to be going every other week with off-season content. We're going to stay here. We know that there's dynasty leagues, there's keeper leagues, there's all kinds of league things that we could be talking about throughout the off-season. The NFL playoffs are right around the corner. The draft. I know myself and Alec are excited to be talking about the draft. So there's all those playing out. Well, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you checking us out. Hope you have a safe and happy new year, and may your fantasy team be blessed with success this year. Thanks for watching.